Marston, sir. It's good to see you, Old Bean. Good to see you.
And you too, Professor.
Forgive me. I am in a state of remarkable agitation, partly due to standard narcotic impulses, but also due to the fact that I have finally solved the riddle that has tormented my mind these past 8 years.
What's that?
The nature of the savage soul. What makes some societies great, like ours, and others, not worse. I would never use a pejorative such as worse, but lesser.
Meaning?
What makes these beings less human than us? Closer to beast on the continuum between animal and God. You know, I argued with Fortescue at Yale about this. It caused a minor scandal. But I shall be proven right, sir. I shall. Mark my words. I shall show them all what civilization is all about. The redskins and the nubs at Yale. Come, sir. I have a way to sate both our desires. I will bring you, Vanderlint and me, the evidence of savages reverting to type. Come, sir.
Follow me! I asked Nastas to bring the horses around front. Quick, man, quick! My heart's beating like a drum.
Try to calm down,
Calm
Professor.
down! I've never been so excited in all my life!
Hello, Professor. Mr. Marston.
Yeah.
This is it! Years of research!
What were you talking about back there? Where are we going?
Nastas has set up a meeting. A powwow, I think they call it. A meeting of minds, of souls. Indians and whites, academics and criminals coming together to find a common understanding.
Nostis, this fool's making no sense.
Some of Vanderlyn's men have agreed to meet with Professor McDougal up at Bear Claw Cabin.
Why the hell would they want to do that?
I think they are interested to find out what conclusions the white man has reached on hundreds of years of culture and society from the comfort of his hotel room.
Wonderful! Do you think I could ask for a skin sample from the soles of their feet?
I don't think that's a good idea.
Come on, show a bit of enthusiasm!
Come on.
I'm actually a little nervous, I have to say. A bear! Shoot it! Shoot it!
Are you crazy? What's
Giddy up.
wrong with you?
Down you come. Let's go.
Thank heavens! Now let's get out of here! My goodness, I'm still shaking! What a ferocious animal!
That bear showed no signs of aggression. If we hadn't shot first, it most likely would have ignored us and moved on.
All very well for you to say. Perhaps you have some kind of primal bond with these animals, but I, sir...
Here we are.
Well, let's get this started. I hope I don't have to smoke a pipe.
Hello, gentlemen. We come in peace.
Those words mean nothing coming from people like you. Look at what you've done to us. Look at us! We live like animals, scrabbling in the dirt.
Well, violence isn't the answer.
Maybe you live in a different America than we.
Men like Vanderlint will lead you to disaster.
I think we've already experienced disaster. The likes which you could only imagine. Put your hands up!
We come in peace. Do as he says, Marston.
You call this a meeting?
Give me your damn weaponry.
This is not what we agreed to.
You shut your mouth, you treacherous snake!
Holy shit. Damn, Dutch. Professor, get down now.
Follow me! To the stars! It's a nightmare! Don't let me quit!
Just keep your head down.
Whatever you do, please don't leave me in here! Never get your ass back.
Run away, pal!
I think I've had about enough of field work for today. Time to return home, sir.
I don't know about you, Professor, but I say we get the hell out of here.
Yes, let's get out of this hellhole and back to civilization. Come on.
Yeah! We should move quickly. There's plenty more where they
My
came from.
God, I feel terrible. My head is pounding.
Getting shot at will do that to
I'm
you.
completely drained. It's like my body is aged. Oh my God, they're back.
Let's go! Yeah! Now on to the next one! Yeah! Come on!
Well, I can safely say that was the worst experience of my life.
I wish I could say the same.
Blackwater. Ah, I will never talk ill of you again.
Civilization in all its glory, Mr. McDougal.
And am I glad to be back? I'm in dire need of a syringe. Something to clear the mind and restore the spirit.
So you ain't planning on sleeping then?
Sleep? My dear boy, I'll probably never sleep again. I'm Hal Collins. How do you do, Mr. Martin? Safe and sound. Thank the Lord.
So much for a meeting of minds.
Thank you, Mr. Marston. I could be boiling in a pot right now if it wasn't for you.
Get some rest, Professor.
We're watching you, Mr. Marston. Hello, Mr.
I'm
Marston.
sorry, pal.
I meant no harm.
I hope you mind what you're looking
The name scares me. I don't deny it.
Oh, my.
Why, hello.
Oh, I'd be honored to show you what's in stock.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you for stopping by.
Mr. Marston, sir. What's going on with you?
Mr.
Men like John Marston just ain't got respect for authority.
That's all reading on the Bible.
Hello?
Howdy.
Looking for the latest shooting irons? You came to the right place.
How are you, mister?
Take a look at what we got. You won't be disappointed. I hear they're still hunting that giant grizzly in tall trees. Wonderful. That's all good. that spot.
That's what I want.
Hey, friend.
Hey, come on.
You want something from me? I might look for a sheriff's post soon enough, you know? These things happen.
I finally discovered why they call this town Blackwater.
You look like a blackjack player. A handsome blackjack player.
Here to keep you safe, man.
Okay, make sure this is working. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, should be right. Make sure this is on. Yeah, I believe so. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and do this other mission. Since the last recording was only 11 minutes, I'm gonna do this capture and add it together. Because we don't have that much to go, honestly, till it's time to get done with this game anyways, before, spoiler alert, John's death, which I'm going to postpone.
Professor.
Oh, it's you, Jim. Come in. Shut the door.
What's going on? Leaving?
Yes, I have.
Pretty much the professor's just like Revan Swanson.
Scholarship cannot proceed, sir.
No, I don't.
Not flipping mess. Not come up for this. Not come up for this at all.
Nope.
They're fucking savages.
But Revan Swanson turned his life around. The professor, unfortunately, for those that do follow-up lores on these characters that are canon, then you guys know the professor here, because of his drug addiction, yeah, he got locked up because he couldn't control his actions because of it.
You okay, Professor?
Damn this.
This is why we don't do drugs, kids. Say no to drugs. That shit really fucks you up.
Hello, Dutch. I think that's what they call two for the price of one out here in this wonderful place. Maybe so, Dutch. You and your friend there, the professor, we're gonna kill both of you.
You can tell Dutch.
Like that?
Let me pause it so I can say it. You can tell Dutch kind of just, went crazy, threw it all out the window because he never would have stepped back foot in Blackwater, but you can tell because of how he is now. Like, he doesn't care. And something tells me he was probably terrorizing Blackwater for a moment anyways, before John hunting him down, and Bill and Javier, and maybe even tormenting Bill in the New Austin area. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. Sport, I guess. Fair enough. Why don't I come out there? We fight. Let the professor go and send your boys back to the family. Well, that sounds like a beautiful plan, John. Only problem is, my boys here, they already lost their family a long time ago. We all
A lot of people say Dutch looked thinner in this one, but I think he more so gained weight in part 1, but was thinner and in better shape in part 2.
show him what we really think about the art of anthropology.
That sounds like you want to do.
I'm gonna hand you over to a much material than
What?
Just kidding. We're gonna run across the rooftops. Get you back to your ivory tower.
Thank you, sir.
We're still here. Come on.
I do think it's a missed opportunity that Dutch didn't bring up Bill and Javier and how John killed them and hunted them down. If he did in the game, I don't recall. Because I only played the storyline once. This is like my second time doing this storyline. And yes, believe it or not, they still have hotels like that where you can walk into somebody's room. Don't ask me how I know that either. Oh shit.
Come on. We can get to the roof this way. Do something! He's going to kill me! Stay back! Where the teacher gets it! Has to put the
Now I gotta do this shit. I can't. I like the sniper thing, but I don't care for it in RDR1. It's a bit more polished and better in RDR2. More than anything. Okay. I don't see where... Come on now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see all of them though. It's kind of like, I don't know if that's going to be the whole point. Like I said, I only done this storyline fully one time, so this was like my second full official playthrough. First time was definitely off screen. God damn, hold still, dude. Okay, I just saw another person. Where is he? Okay. This is what you're really wanting, Dutch. You're really okay with me picking off these boys because you're just a crazed lunatic. Like I said, man, he turned in the Como Driscoll. If you can shoot a gun, ride a horse, and shoot and kill without being asked, you're pretty much in. Like, that's Dutch's, unfortunately mindset now. He became the man that Como Driscoll and Dutch used to preach about not being. There still should be horse mounts in this city anyways, because they didn't start getting rid of those in towns and cities till 1923. The days of the Old West died out right after and during World War I, but semi still around in 1920 to 1925. Because by then, the turn of the New World, again at that time, and there's so many points in time if you really pay attention, like, oh, this is the turn of the new world, or this is the turn of the new world, or this is the turn of the new century. Well, by then, you start getting into the 1930s almost, and that's when they told people to go build towns, build cities, build jobs, have a family. So the West practically died out mid-1920s. But the days of criminals and outlaws will never usually die out. Because if you take a look at it, we got the mob in the 1930s, which is a bit different from outlaws, I get it, but they kind of had like the same model, like trying to have a better society, a better America, as it were, and trying to bring things that people enjoyed, which was drinking and, you know, gambling.
My research is complete. Much as I
But during those days, the mob made things better from 1930s to the 1980s. And things started going downhill for that type of lifestyle in the 90s and 2000s. But they were one thing about the Old West with the outlaws and mobsters. They had one thing in common, though. They were very patriotic because they respected people who served in the military, fought in battles to lay down their life, or got injured in the line of duty. And plus, you did have some outlaws, just like you had some foot soldiers who joined the mob. You know, who did serve, and and after service, you can say yes, like they were unfortunately, you know, cheated out of unfortunately promises that were given, like certain money, health care and benefits out of that nature. Hey, this is the cabin in part 2 where John got those supplies to build and stuff. Okay. 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 You know, type of deal. But you know, those are just a few things that are really narrow. Like, which really built the backbone of this country, the backbone of this nation. You know, the lore of pirates, outlaws, knights, hobos, bums, tramps, mobsters, gangbangers, bikers, and truckers. Like Trevor said in GTA 5, is the backbone of this here nation that built this country, not men in suits and shit. I wonder if there's any lore or something that kind of explains what happened to the guy that had this place, or this is what he turned it into. This is, again, which also makes part 1 why it needs to be redone, because John's been here before, like we found out in part 2. So you would think that that the guy who did own this place would still be around, or unless somebody bought it, like, or something that happened. We don't know what. You would think that would be important. Because part 2, a lot of people's like, yeah, part 2, man, it really contradicts a lot. I don't think it does. I think it corrected a lot of things. I think, if anything, part 1, even though it was made first, and none of these other characters were really thought of or made in the process, I think part 1 kind of contradicts part 2 more than anything, and why so much of part 1 needs to really have a hard reboot from scratch. More than anything, it needs it, like, really bad, so it can really match up with part 2. But I do think, like I said before, you know, with so much of the drinking and having John, you know, forgetting so much to suppress a lot of things that he has done, went through, and seen, the people he has lost. So it makes sense why, and a lot of people argue that the first time you meet the strange man, when the strange man says, man, you forgot a lot more important people than me. And I kind of talked about that, and it's obviously John did forget, even though, yes, I get it, like, certain characters were not written and made yet, but we can't just take that as an obvious answer to. And where I'm going with this is simply the fact that I do strongly think, to a degree, that, oh man, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but this is just one man's opinion. You know, this is just, you know, my thing. Everybody has a right to what they want to believe, what they want to agree with what I'm about to say. But I think the reason why a lot of this doesn't match up, how part 1 doesn't match up with part 2, and how part 2 doesn't match up with part 1, is that part 2 is an entirely separate continuity of a different alternate timeline in the same universe, just alternate timeline, kind of like the whole Trunks Dragon Ball Z deal, if you will. Just like Red Dead 1 is its own timeline. So you could say Red Dead 2 is the original timeline. Well, let's put it like this. You got 3 Red Deads. You got Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. So you could say Red Dead Revolver is the Legends lore story timeline continuity that's its own universe. But Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2 have those similar, as you could say, lore and stories and legends that are almost parallel, right? So Red Dead 1, you can say, is the original timeline, to where certain events happen, to where some events didn't exist, like in part 2, to where part 2 of Red Dead is a parallel timeline in another, you know, the parallel alternate timeline. Again, same universe, same planet, different timeline. Again, the whole Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, you know, Trunks type of thing, if you will. Now, I know some people was like, you could compare it to maybe Back to the Future, how things were changed. I don't know that to be true because I have never saw Back to the Future. I never saw none of those movies. I'm familiar with it. Like, you would think at my age of 33, that I would be familiar with that. But I never saw none of those movies. I grew up, when it comes to like certain science fiction, such as Star Wars, Power Rangers, if you will, right? Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, you know, a lot of stuff from that late 80s, 90s, and 2000s continuity, contents, media, and the science fiction and things that, you know, were around then. So, you know, I never grew up or never watched, you know, Back to the Future. Back to the Future was, and I dare to say, it was before I was born, before my time, and I'm good without seeing it. You know, some people's like, man, you don't know what you're missing, and I'm fine with that. So, yes, I do think Red Dead Redemption 1 is the, like I said, I do think Red Dead Revolver is like your Legends continuity timeline, alternate universe, like Star Wars, like the old Star Wars stories and novels that are considered now legends, so to speak. Just like Red Dead Redemption 1 is the main timeline. Carbine rifle. I wonder if that's any better. Yeah, we're gonna purchase it. I don't mind. And, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2 is an alternate timeline, but same universe. So with that being said, that's why I say, you know, why part 1 and part 2 really don't match up together. But if you were to stick with one thing, I will say I think because so much of what John went through is why he reduced down to the devil's poison, as it were, to forget about so many of the people that he has lost, and people who has came and went, what he been through, to forget about those things so it doesn't make him so depressed. Yo, the police department used to be here in part 2. Now it's somewhere else. Now they moved it over there. See? Oh man, I hate, again, people are gonna, I'm gonna say it, but people are gonna hate it. Again, this is just me, my own thing. See? Alternate timeline. Butterfly effect, right? But, you know, in real life scenarios, if you take a look at what John's really been through, or what things that a lot of people's been through who had such a rough upbringing, you know, suppress a lot of things to where you do over time forget about people. You forget about certain events. And that's because you don't want to sink down in that stage of depression and suicide. You know? That's why people like that in real life do tend to forget. And for me, I've had a rough upbringing. There's times where I've been wanting to forget things, and I realized, you know, some things, you know, are best left unsaid, forgiven, but never forgotten. And some things that ain't that important, that may have seemed important, are best left forgotten. and the people that came and went. You know, there's reasons why people come and go in our lives. You know, people are not meant to stay forever. It's like the people you grow up with in school or outside of school. You know, you're not going to see them in 5 years. You're not going to be around them in 10 years because they're not going to be there. These people aren't going to matter. You know, but the people who you came up with, struggled with, man, you know, people change, people do evolve, people come and go, and eventually you kind of forget about each other, you know. But there's some people who do like to remember certain people, and I've been in situations where I can say, man, I forgot about somebody that maybe I shouldn't forgot about, you know. But there's people who you do want to keep in mind, who you don't want to forget about, people who you want to keep alive in your own way, in your own memory. And there are certain people who I do that to, who are no longer here, and remember the people who they once were, not who they are now, or remember people who are passed on. So it makes sense why John does forget. It's because he chose to, and over time he did naturally forget. Because if he was to keep reminiscing and dwelling on it, it would eat him up so much that, you know, he would commit suicide, because he would feel like he would have nothing to live for. And you can say that one theory when it came to Jack, when he got older, killed himself because, you know, he kept dwelling, reminiscing of the past, things that were bothering him, because you know, like I was saying, you know, Jack didn't have nobody there with him in the end. You know, you had a grieving widow and a mother who fortunately couldn't, couldn't get closure, and died of I think she died of a broken heart, of depression, which is a real thing in life. Like it happens, it's real. You can die from that. It's something that's more common than not, and a lot of people like to dismiss it, but I think they dismiss it is because they're afraid of the truth when it comes to that. You know, because what are the chances of Sadie and Charles? Like, let's be very realistic about this in real life. Let's say Jack's a real person, right? We know who he lost. We know his mother didn't, she had such a hard time grieving, felt so lost, lonely, not in a good mindset. And I know how that works because my mom went through it when my dad passed 3 years ago. And she's lucky that she had me with her throughout that whole thing, because she would spiral so far down if I wasn't here that I would lose her through depression. Me, I had to find my own way of healing, and that's what this year is really about for me and my mother, is for us to properly heal and properly grieve now that things have settled down. But when Jack lost his mom because of dying from a broken heart of depression, Jack was alone. He had absolutely nobody. So you would imagine when word got out about John's death, because word travels fast. Even back then in them days, without the internet and stuff, word traveled fast. So you can say, you know, how many of the people that were still left, right? From Mr. Pearson, okay? Tilly? Mary Beth? Charles, Sadie, and Arthur's ex, because she knows who John is. I'm pretty sure, and I'm gonna make the claim right here. I'm pretty sure she knows who John, or you know, Jack is too, because Arthur would talk to her and share things with her. I'm pretty, you know what I'm saying, I'm highly certain of that conversation. So how many of them truly checked on Jack? How many of them checked on Abigail and Jack right after John's death? How many of them was there? Right? We don't know. But I'm finna go out on a limb with this part and say, I think they came and visited them right after John's passing. But what about when it came to Jack? Did Jack manage to write letters or try to send a telegram or a phone call to them at that time when his mom passed? Because how many of them truly then went back afterwards to see if Jack was okay? How many? I'm gonna say little to none, because in real life, that's how that works, man. It sucks. But little to none, little to hardly of any of them. So if I were to truly pick, I'm gonna say it was three of them that checked on Jack in the end, who I believe it was Tilly Jackson, of course, because that's his aunt. All right. Sadie, kind of like an aunt to him, as well as Charles Smith, who like an uncle to him. And then one more person who he doesn't know, he doesn't have any type of relationship with, but I would imagine it would surprise him, and he may not remember her even though he met her, and that's going to be Bonnie McFarland. And her father, I do believe, also helped and visit Jack to make sure he was okay. And it makes sense for that to happen. Now, because that they are probably the closest neighbors to Beecher's Hope with Jack, there's that chance, you know, off screen that they's like, hey, you can do business with us, you know, we'll help you with some cattle at your ranch, make sure to help it runs, and send you some helping hands in between the time. which makes so much sense, if you ask me. Like, it makes... Come on, fucking horse. I hate to be that guy, but I really despise all these horses in this game. One's in part 2, way more obedient and well-behaved. Come on, John. Shit. Fucker. But I do think that, yeah, they would help him, make sure he kept in business, making sure he had some, you know, customers, you know, making some money. Just like, I think during the process of that, with it being realistic, which makes sense why he never got caught for the death of Ross's death. Because it took place out of country, out of the U.S. grounds, out of U.S. soil. Jack does look a little bit Mexican-like, I'm not gonna lie. So they probably thought somebody over there killed him. And for a long time, because of having Hispanic friends growing up, and I grew up with all sorts of different cultures of people, different, you know, walks of life and religion. You know, Mexico for a long time has always been the land of the lawless. Always had that, you know, that revolutionary thing going on, even till this day, to where even ruled by gangs, drug lords, you know, to where they keep just good people suffering, you know, smothercating them, as it were. And I say that because it's probably like, you know, like, it probably would cause a whole, to in a sense within Mexico itself, a whole fight, argument on, oh, you killed this person on this ground or this soil. But how much of that would they really care about? Like, yeah, we killed a high-ranking federal official, U.S. American on Mexican soil. You know, how many of the people there for Spanish, you know, Mexico would actually care about that? None. Because, you know, Americans in different countries across the, you know, like across the world and stuff, you know, we're not very well liked people, and they at all for, you know, whatever reason. So that whole thing with Ross's death would go unsolved, and Jack wouldn't have been an outlaw. He wouldn't have been a gunslinger. He realistically would be a rancher and an author, and writing books and making good money at those days, really doing that for a very, very long time, until he settled down, had a family. So I don't think Jack killed himself. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like he would do that. At all. I do think he took time properly heal, to properly mourn as he would choose to work, right? And then as time went on, he would find himself really healing until he would find love. Because his parents and the people who he lost wouldn't want him to give up so easily. And he was raised stronger, tougher than that. Not to fall not to fall to that level. So I would say for the people that who say, man, Jack would commit suicide, no, he just wouldn't, because it wouldn't make that much sense. You know, for me, I know when my mom goes, like, I'm gonna be alone, and I'm so used to that feeling of being alone. But I know deep inside, like most people will not admit, that feeling of that type of loneliness, it does suck, and it hurts. But I know I wouldn't give up. I mean, there's came countless of times, yeah, where I almost did, but I kept going because I'm here and needed for a reason. I don't know what that reason is yet, and I may not never know. But yeah, you know, Jack was raised stronger than that. A lot stronger than that. Do I think we can get a Jack game? I think it would. It doesn't need to have the word redemption. In it, because there's nothing that he needs to redeem himself for, but it can be within a title like Jack, or just have the, like, for example, to have like Red Dead Jack, and just focus on Jack's life, his journey of that process of healing, you know, after part 1. And I think it would be great to really see certain people to make those pop up a cameo appearances, if you will, or whatever term you want to use, to help or to check on Jack. You know, especially if you would like for that part of that story the focus on the war part of that.
The only way out for you is down, son. Shit straight down.
I always suck at this. Don't know shit what I'm doing either. Come on. Yeah. I really wish they would put a practice mode in with that. I really wish they would. But they don't, man. It would, God, it would help so much. Because when they put the practice mode in Red Dead Revolver for that, it helped me so damn much to get that. It did. Heaven fucking forbid if they do it here, though. And 2, when you do certain missions like that, it to an extent it does make it a bit better. I'm not gonna lie, it does. But that's that part. and go ahead and save this. But yeah, you know, these are just my thoughts on, you know, the whole forgetting and depressing certain things and memories. With that being said, y'all, I'm out. Peace.